No other country on Earth has ever attempted what China is doing right now, and most people have absolutely no idea it's happening. We're not talking about one crazy project. We're talking about a telescope bigger than 30 football fields, a canal system moving rivers across an entire continent, an island built from nothing in the middle of the ocean, and that's just the beginning. Today, we're counting down 10 of the most jaw-dropping things China has ever built. Structures so insane that Western engineers had to stop, sit down, and take notes. And stay until the very end, because the last project on this list is something no other country has ever even tried at this scale. You are not going to believe this is real. Let's start with something that broke the record books so hard, the old record literally fell apart. Deep in Guizhou province, hidden inside a natural valley in the mountains, sits a machine that listens to the universe. The 500-meter aperture spherical telescope, most people just call it FAST, is the largest radio telescope ever built by human beings. It took China about 5 years to build, with planning starting in the mid-1990s, completed in 2016, and cost $180 million. Now compare that to America's famous Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, the one that appeared in James Bond films, the one NASA relied on for decades. Arecibo measured 305 meters. FAST is 200 meters wider and dramatically more powerful. And here's the part that really stings. Arecibo collapsed and was demolished in 2020. America let its greatest ear to the universe fall apart. China built a bigger one from scratch. FAST doesn't look at light the way normal telescopes do. It detects faint radio waves, signals traveling from galaxies, pulsars, and planets millions of light years away. Its onboard supercomputers process that data at a significantly higher speed than many comparable Western systems. And to make sure absolutely nothing interferes with those signals, China relocated about 9,000 people from surrounding villages and created a complete radio silence exclusion zone around it. No phones, no Wi-Fi, nothing. Just silence, so the universe can be heard. Now let's come back down to Earth and talk about a building that made the Sydney Opera House look embarrassing. The Guangzhou Opera House covers about 71,000 square meters, more than 13 times the size of a standard American football field. It holds 2 concert halls, one seating 1,804 people, one seating 443, and both deliver perfect sound at every single seat. Every seat, no bad spots. The whole thing was finished in just 5 years. For comparison, the Sydney Opera House took 14 years to build and went 1,400% over budget. Guangzhou? On time, on budget. The architect described the exterior as pebbles smoothed by a river. And when you see it in person, it genuinely looks like a spacecraft that landed in the middle of the city. Inside, the ceilings curve and flow like water in slow motion. It's one of those buildings where you walk in and forget you're inside a building at all. But China didn't just build on land, they built on the ocean. In 2020, off the coast of Hainan Island, China unveiled something called Ocean Flower Island, a $24 to $25 billion artificial island shaped like a giant blooming lotus flower when seen from above. The total area is about 8 square kilometers, split across 3 connected island clusters. It has 5-star hotels, theme parks, water parks, aquariums, museums, duty-free shopping malls, and convention centers. The target? 10 million visitors every single year. Now here's the part that makes Dubai nervous. Palm Jumeirah was once considered the most ambitious artificial island ever built. Ocean Flower Island is larger, more complex, and here's the kicker. It was primarily privately funded by Chinese corporations. Dubai used state money, China used business money. That's a different level of confidence entirely. And while Ocean Flower Island was rising out of the sea, China was also splitting the atom on its own terms. In 1991, China's Qinshan nuclear power plant became the first nuclear facility in the country designed and built entirely by Chinese engineers. No foreign blueprints, no outside help. It started small, just one reactor producing 310 megawatts, which is modest by global standards. But 3 decades later, Qinshan now runs 9 reactors producing a combined 6,660 megawatts. America's largest nuclear plant, Palo Verde in Arizona, produces about 3,937 megawatts. Qinshan beats it by roughly 2,723 megawatts, and it was built using purely Chinese technology. More importantly, it became the model. Dozens of new nuclear plants are now being built across China based on what was learned at Qinshan. One plant turned into a national blueprint. Now, when Shanghai ran out of room to grow, most cities would have just stopped. Engineers built a tunnel and bridge system beneath and over the Yangtze River, stretching over 16,630 meters total. Nearly $2 billion worth of infrastructure in a single corridor. The underwater tunnel section alone is 8.9 kilometers long and about 13 meters wide, making it one of the largest river tunnels on the planet. And it's not just a tunnel, it's 2 layers. The upper deck carries 6 lanes of car traffic. The lower deck is exclusively for metro trains, both moving at the same time. No intersections, no traffic lights, cars and trains sliding silently beneath a river. In most American cities, building one new subway line takes a full decade. China built a combined river-crossing highway and subway system in the same project at the same time. But of all the things China has built, nothing, and I mean nothing, comes close to the scale of what they did with water. Northern China has a drought problem. The soil cracks, farmland dies, cities run dry. Southern China has the opposite problem. It floods every single year. China's solution was not a pump, not a reservoir, not a pipe. It was a decision to physically move the rivers. The South to North Water Diversion Project is the largest water transfer system ever built in human history. 2 massive canals are already complete, each moving approximately 9 billion cubic meters of water northward every year. The long-term target is 44.8 billion cubic meters per year, a number so large it's almost impossible to picture. To build what's already done, engineers excavated 1.78 billion cubic meters of earth and used 65 million cubic meters of concrete in the first phase of the project alone. The finished sections already stretch about 2,900 kilometers, roughly the distance from New York City to Denver. America's Hoover Dam and the California Aqueduct are legendary engineering achievements that took generations to celebrate. This project makes both of them look like warm-up exercises. And the third canal, currently under construction, runs through mountains at altitudes of up to 4,000 meters. That's higher than any peak in the entire continental United States. The third canal alone will cost tens of billions. The full system, estimated at over $80 billion. Now, let's talk about a building that doesn't just touch the sky, it punches a hole through itself to survive it. The Shanghai World Financial Center stands 492 meters tall and ranks among the top tallest buildings in all of Asia. What makes it impossible to forget is the massive opening cut straight through the top, a trapezoidal hole that locals call the bottle opener. That hole is not there to look cool. It's there because at that height, wind pressure becomes a structural problem. The opening cuts wind resistance dramatically and lets the building survive earthquakes up to magnitude 7. Every 12 floors has a reinforced emergency refuge zone, connected by fire-resistant stairwells and special smoke-proof evacuation elevators. The windows are designed to break in a controlled way during fires, releasing smoke without shattering into dangerous shards. And here's one of the stranger details. The hole was originally going to be a circle, But due to political tension with Japan, the design team changed it to the tapered shape you see today. Architecture shaped by diplomacy. And then there's a bridge that was built over 150 years ago, with no nails, no metal, no glue, and is still standing today. In Guizhou province, the Fengyu Bridge, also called the Wind and Rain Bridge, was built entirely by hand by the Dong ethnic minority. The whole structure, the walkway, the pillars, the roof, the carved pavilions on top, all assembled using a technique called mortise and tenon joinery. Every single piece of wood is carved to fit into another piece so precisely that the whole structure holds itself together through geometry alone. No metal, no bolts, no adhesive, just wood fitting into wood. And it has survived over a century of floods, typhoons, and storms without falling apart. For comparison, America's famous covered wooden bridges in Vermont and Oregon, built much more recently, use nails and metal fasteners to hold everything together. This bridge does it with pure skill. It also functions as a meeting place, a market, and a rest stop for the local community. Architecture and daily life completely merged into one. Finally, before we wrap up, the Lishui Bridge in Hunan Province, completed in 2013. It spans 856 meters across the Lishui River with a sweeping arch design that doesn't just look beautiful, it works beautifully. The arch distributes weight evenly across the entire span, making the bridge incredibly resistant to Hunan's heavy rains and high winds. The reflection of the arch on the river below has turned this bridge into an art subject. Tourists stop here not to cross it, but just to look at it. An infrastructure project that became a painting. From a telescope that hears galaxies dying, to canals that redirect entire rivers, to a hole in a skyscraper that tames the wind. China has stopped asking what's possible and started asking what's next. And the most terrifying part? Most of this was built in the last 30 years. Imagine what the next 30 looks like. Hit that subscribe button. You do not want to miss what's coming next.